Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. Today, I am joined by one of my favorite entrepreneurs in healthcare, Mr. Greg Todd. Greg, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to have you on my podcast for like years, and this is just truly an honor. And so in this episode, Greg and I are talking about something that I think is really critical in today's environment. And, you know, we kind of titled this episode, Greg, Escaping the Insurance Trap, how to build your authority brand. And it's so funny that we're having this episode. So many of you know this. I own my own medical billing company. I got tired of insurances scamming healthcare providers, and I wanted to solve that puzzle. But ironically, in 2026, I think it is just becoming more challenging, more cuts. I have an entire state that I work in, one that, Greg, you have a separate home in. Every single provider I know in this state is currently under audit. Can you believe that? Every single provider. Nothing they did, just the insurance saying, guess what? We want to look under the hood and we're going to see what money we can retract. So today, when we're talking about this is why we want to build our authority. This is so important that we differentiate beyond just being a medical clinic. And so, you know, Greg, as we're talking about this, why don't you start with just give your background, tell your story, let our audience get to know you, and then I'll drive in with some questions for you.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you, my friend. I don't know if the audience knows this, but besides collaboration, we're actually very dear friends, and I appreciate you as who you are as a human. So I have to say that first. Okay, now about me, I've been a therapist, a physical therapist for 26 years. I had absolutely no intention or desire to be an entrepreneur. That was not in the cards. For me, it was I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve people. I like to build relationships with people, but I don't have, or at least at the time, I didn't have any financial risk. I didn't have a financial risk skill set. Okay. I'm like, just give me the job and let it ride out and I'll stay there for, 50 years. Okay. And I'm just looking at the jobs that I had when I was in college. The only reason why I ever left a job is if the place shut down. Like, I'm just kind of one of those loyal guys. I'll stay at the same place, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Give me a 4% raise every single year and we'll be good to go. So anyways, it didn't work out like that for me. I realized that I wanted something that a regular job couldn't get me, which was flexibility and time. It wasn't even so much money. I could live off of whatever. That wasn't a big thing. So I decided, okay, the only way I can get this is if I went on my own and I kind of created things on my own terms. That's what I did in 2005. So I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years. And like many of you, I was in the insurance game. And then you just start to realize that this game is really not set up for me to win. Okay, it's not set up for me to win. So I started looking at other alternatives. And that's basically what I have done over the last 21 years. It's just been a journey, that has led me to consulting for companies. And today I now have, I have 15 companies that I consulted for in different sectors before I decided to create a community called Smart Success Healthcare. And I've done that for the last 11 years. I have 5,500 customers. And really what I've done over these last 11 years is teach people how to not exclusively trade time for money, how to use their value that they have, but not limit it to basically what Aetna or Cigna or Humana or Medicare or Medicaid says I can or can't do. I believe most of us are doing insurance therapy. We are not doing occupational therapy or speech therapy or physical therapy. We have conditioned ourselves and justified that what the insurance companies want is what my skill set should provide value to people. And I think that is sad. And I think that is not the way to go. So here we are. And I had no clue that, 21 years later, I would now be an entrepreneur outside of healthcare. And so I have vacation rentals, I have a virtual staffing agency, I have a software company, I have my clinic, and I do consulting. So that's kind of my story. And I just try to help people get their heads out of their butts and use their amazing skill set that they paid a lot of money and invested a lot of time for, and teach them how to monetize it and not have to be limited to just what a third-party payer tells them they can or can't do.
100%. A couple things I want our audience to know. One is, a lot of you know this, like if I'm going to believe in something, if I'm going to endorse something, if I'm going to bring something to my audience, it's got to be something where I put my own money where my mouth is. I've invested in Greg, my own learning curve. We all need coaches. And one of the things that many of you have heard me talk about over the last several years is this idea of a 3 tax ID model. As a reminder, 3 tax ID model, one of our models is our medical model. The other model is what I call our concierge. How do we serve above and beyond what medical imprisons us to do? And the third is our MSO side. This second tax ID model, the reason why I really wanted Greg to be on this episode and on some future episodes is I want to start to unlock a different understanding for you on how to optimize that second tax ID model. What does concierge mean? What does authority and brand mean? And for those who don't know, Greg and I actually met, and it's probably been 8 years now, 10 years ago, something like that, before the telehealth revolution, when there was this little company coming out called Blue Jay Engage. And they were trying to be really innovators in the telehealth space. And Greg and I both got brought into their model as 2 innovators, one through Greg's innovation of the way that he's changing the way that healthcare gets delivered, and then me through how do we monetize healthcare in a different way? How do we bring numbers to actuality to really innovate ourselves and our financial goals? And so, Greg, as we look at today, I want to talk about this authority. And one of the things that I'd love your feedback on is I find these clinicians that are great at clinical care, but they absolutely suck at business. And I'm just being honest. And one of the things that I recognize is they've got these great clinical skills, but they don't know how to leverage it. And at a certain point, I find they have the emptiest schedules because they are giving more than they are getting, and they don't know how to shift their mindset. And so how do you work with clinicians that are like incredible clinicians, and they could be employees within an organization or solopreneurs? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we've got these incredible clinicians that are getting stuck in the muck. And so what would you say is your way of helping them shift their mindset?
Oh, I think there's a couple things. I think the biggest way you can change someone's life is through getting them to be aware of something. It's not even teaching them a skill. I mean, skills can be taught. That's not an issue. We're human beings. There are human beings that know how to, go on a tightrope and do Cirque du Soleil, and people know how to, shoot basketballs from, 80 feet out. I mean, look, we can learn anything, but the reality is that most people, where we run into issues is we lack awareness. And so let's talk about that clinician, that expert clinician that has an empty schedule. Let's talk about that person that has been doing this for 25, 30, 35 years and is more of a liability than an asset to many of your practices. Okay, I think the first thing is we have to be aware of the game that we're playing. Okay, now I know we're dealing with people and we're dealing with humans, and I take that very, very, very seriously. But the reality is that every single one of us, we're in a game, okay? And you must understand the rules of the game, and the rules of the game change. They change, okay? So this clinician, let's just say it's a 30-year clinician, right? Absolutely amazing, knows all the things. Here's the issue. The issue is that they were playing a different game in 1995 than what we're playing today in 2026, okay? You're playing a different game. The game in 1995 was, here's the deal. You can have a patient in front of you, okay? It can be a 2-year-old kid, it can be a newborn, it can be a 14-year-old kid, and you can see that client as long as you want to see them for. As long as you want to see them for, okay? You have no limitations. Everything's cool. See them for however long you want to see them for. So here's what the great clinicians were able to operate and were rewarded back then. They were rewarded for doing technical skills on people. Okay, that was the game in 1995. That was a game in 2000. That was a game in 2003. And to be honest with you, there was a shift that happened in 97. Now that shift started to trickle down. That's the Balanced Budget Act. And as that started to trickle over the years, the game has totally changed. Okay, today, the people that win are not the greatest clinicians. The people that win in today's game with today's rules are the people that are the greatest decision makers. The people that are decision makers are the ones that win today, because the reality is this: what I charge and what I bill the insurance company is not what the insurance company will pay me. Okay. They pay me based off of the things that they want to pay me for. They pay me based on the amount of time they want to pay me. So I know that if I just do straight clinical techniques, and I deploy my clinical skill sets, and I don't do anything with regards to becoming a decision maker for people, I know that I'm not as valuable as what I can be to people in today's world. And that's the issue. So there are some amazing clinicians out there that have every single alphabet behind their name. But in today's world, the decision maker, the one that is helping people navigate their care, is the one that is the most valuable from a financial standpoint to the clinic. And so that really is the answer. I mean, that's what it is. I try to train not only my clients, but my therapists. I need to make sure that you understand that you're not a therapist first. Mm-hmm. You are a decision maker who happens to have skills in the occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech language pathology arena. You are not a speech language pathologist that happens to make decisions every once in a while. No, because in today's world, insurance is very limited with what they are or aren't going to pay us. But people have money. They have access to money. They just have to decide if the money that they have is going to be exchanged with you. I don't care what the market is. I don't care what the economy is. People exchange money where they want to. And so why would they want to exchange it with me, the clinician? They'd want to exchange it with me if I let their brain work less. Mm-hmm. And what people are trying to do is they're trying to conserve their energy within their brain, meaning that they don't want to make as many decisions. So let me make the decisions for you. And that's what people find valuable in today's market, in today's game. So that is the long answer of why lifetime amazing clinicians are liabilities instead of assets.
Yeah. So I'm going to play a little game with you. You don't know this game, but
Okay.
You may have already answered it, but I thought it would be fun. And we're each going to complete this sentence, and I want to see how similar they are. So the sentence I want you to finish is the following. In order for one of our listeners right now to establish brand authority, they must do what?
In order to establish brand authority, they must increase their awareness and increase their value to people that are not paying them right now.
Okay. I love that. So mine, similarly, what I always say is, in order to build your authority, you must show progress on behalf of someone else. You have to show change. You have to show. So I say it this way: you can measure Greg's impact based on how long his clients renew and stay with him. If they weren't seeing results, then it would be one and done, if that makes sense. And I think so much of the clinical world right now is measured transactionally based on a plan of care, that progress is lost in how we translate to a plan of care. It's like ACL tear. We did a 12-week rehab. This is what it looked like. They discharged. That's their outcome. But does the patient find value in that progress? Like, really, is it more about the insurance and the doctor's referral than it is about the patient? So I guess my next question for you, Greg, is what is one service provider that you utilize that has brand authority over your life, and why?
Dentist.
Dentist. Okay.
Dentist.
And it's so funny because I would have thought you would have said where you work out every day.
Oh, yeah, that too. That too. But I would say dentist, and I use dentist. I did it specifically because we could, if I said my F45 trainer, people would say, well, we're different because they're paying cash. No, let's use dentist. Let's use this example because a dentist is very similar to us. A dentist has the same limitations that we have that we say are the reasons why we can't do well in business. A dentist takes insurance. A dentist has most of their clients that either don't have insurance or they have insurance that doesn't cover all of their needs. Okay, but you know what a dentist has? A dentist has a plan of care. They have a plan of care based off of what they deem the client needs, not based off of what they know the insurance will pay for. The dentist comes to you and says, listen, your tooth, you know that tooth that's hurting you? Yes, that tooth that's hurting you? Okay, here's what's going to need to happen. Okay, I'm going to give you two options. All right, I'm going to give you the Band-Aid option, and I'm going to give you the long-term fix option. Which one do you want? Most of us, when we're in so much pain, we're like, give me the long-term option. But tell me both. Okay, so this is what the dentist does. The dentist says, here's what I can do. Let's talk about the Band-Aid option. I can take some Novocaine, I can squirt it, and just jab it in your, and it will make that problem at least calm down for, a certain period of time. Now, here's the deal. You have infection, you have this, you have that going on, and so that will help you, and I don't know how long it will help you. Maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, but it will go away right now. Okay, but we feel that pain so badly. They say, here's the other option. The other alternative is that we are going to basically remove, a part of the tooth. And then what we're going to do is we're going to clean that area. Sometimes, what we got to do, we actually have to extract the entire tooth. Okay, and then we got to put some bone stock in there. Okay, and then that might take, 1, 2, or 3 months. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to put, a totally new implant in there. And then we're going to put a crown on it. And then you're going to have a totally brand new tooth. Everything's going to be good. That's going to be a 7-month journey, but then you will never have this problem again. Pick. This, by the way, happened to me. I took option 2. Okay, great. Option 2. So here's what's going to happen. Do you have insurance, Greg? Yes, I have MetLife. Okay, wonderful. Here's what's good. We're going to verify your benefits. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get back in touch with you in 24 hours. 24 hours later, they get back in touch with me. They say, hey, MetLife is going to pay $600. The entire treatment is going to be $6,000. That means you're going to have a $5,400 balance, but this is going to get you the result that you want. Okay, how are we going to pay this? This is what we're going to do. We're going to pay it over this time, this time, this time, this time. All right, let's go ahead and let's get started now. Go ahead and put your deposit down. Done, because I know this is the result that I want. So everything that is going on with the dentist that we say is an issue of why we can't help people, why they're dealing with the same thing, but they have learned how to package. They have learned how to frame things. They have learned how to focus on the outcome and the result over everything else. And then they are letting us pick what we want to do. What we are doing, many of us in healthcare, is we are not even giving people the option of having the most ultimate outcome. We're not doing that because we're so warped with our money and what we find valuable, and understanding that what we find valuable might not be what people find valuable. And we're so screwed up with that we are sabotaging our patients and we're sabotaging our clients. And ultimately, we're sabotaging families. Okay. And so, yeah, I would say look at a dentist and just do what your dentist does. Do what your dentist does and give people the option, and don't discredit because you're not dealing with their problem that it's not that big of a deal. Okay. Don't make it about you and your hangups with money. Make it about them and giving them the ultimate outcome that they are wishing for. And I would say to everyone listening, go to your dentist and watch what they do and go replicate it for yourself.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and it kind of sparked a couple things. So one is, I think that there's this idea of like, how do we bring brand authority from an acute standpoint, meaning that someone needs our services? And then there's this other side, which is like, how do we create brand authority for lifestyle change? And so I think two things you mentioned, and it's interesting because you mentioned dentist. Now, if you asked me, um, from a patient experience, what is the one patient experience you dread consistently? It is dentist. I hate it.
Dentist, yeah, yeah,
I hate the
yeah,
smell. I hate the
yeah.
look. I hate the noise. I hate the receptionist. It's like an octopus. But it's interesting. I choose and elect to go 3 to 4 times a year because I want my teeth cleaned. I believe in what they're doing. I believe that staying on top of it is helping the health and wellness of my body. And so they do have a brand authority. I go to the same person. And it's so interesting because, Greg, I almost changed hygienists. I had this dental hygienist. And I say this because this is where brand authority went in. And I remember my first time, and she just hacked at my teeth. And she made
Mhm.
me feel like crap. I'm being honest with
Mm.
you.
Yeah,
Really just put me down, like you're not cleaning good enough, all this stuff. So I
yeah.
leave and I say, I want a different dental hygienist. I don't like her. And they said, okay. And they made the change. And then the next time I show up, and it's the one that I didn't want. And
Oh, wow.
she says, I know you picked someone else. I'm your dental hygienist. And she changed her entire flow and everything and recreated it. And ever since now, for 2 years, I've been consistent with her because she learned what I needed in order to buy in to her approach.
Right,
I never discounted that she was a great dental hygienist. I didn't like her communication. And
right,
she
right.
changed that. So part of this brand authority is also identifying the communication that's going to create the decision making on behalf of your client, that you're going to
Yeah,
become that authority in that way.
you're 100% right. And in order to create brand authority, you have to understand that you have a responsibility to work more on your communication versus your implementation skills. That's it. That's it. I mean, if you look at the situation that happened with you, you have someone that was aware enough to understand that, okay, I know what I'm doing. Okay, my implementation is on point, but my communication and my delivery to this guy was not there. This is someone that understood that, hey, if I don't change my communication and the way that I'm delivering my message, I'm going to not only lose him as a client, chances are you're not the only one, Brendan. She's going to lose other people's clients, right? So she understood that. And that's how you create authority. And so that, to me, that's a perfect example of how this works. You could be the greatest technician in whatever it is that you do. But if you don't know how to frame, if you don't know how to present, if you don't know how to connect, if you don't know how to empathize, you're going to struggle. You're never going to be able to be a decision maker for people. You're never going to get anyone to buy into anything that they haven't already bought into. The only things that they're going to do are things that they feel comfortable with doing, that they trust within themselves. But they're never going to look at you because they don't trust you. They don't trust you. Your communication, your delivery, your confidence, your energy, the level of consistency or trust, something's off. Something's off, and it doesn't make people trust you. And when you have a brand and when you have brand authority, people trust you more than they trust themselves in that particular arena, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have, and by the way, it's not that hard to get. It's not that hard to get. Now, here's the reality. The reality is that there's certain arenas, there's certain sectors where, because they have done such a good job, just by default, you trust them, right? Here, I'll give you a quick example. If you go to a restaurant right now, right? We were down at your event a couple of weeks ago, right? So let's just say me and you, there was a restaurant called Morton's. It was attached right to the hotel, it's a steakhouse. If we went to Morton's and you looked at the menu, Brandon, I looked at the menu, and we weren't really sure, just by default, right? Your waiter or your waitress, you say, hey, what do you think? We don't even know who they are. We don't even know who they are, but by default, we just trust that waiters and waitresses in the restaurant sector, they just know more than we do when it comes to food selection, what things we could potentially like, what things we don't like, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. The reality is that in healthcare, in allied health, we've done a really poor job of this because we have become very good at our technical prowess, but we're not very intentional about improving our decision-making capabilities and our presentation. So by default, people do not trust you.
Yep.
By default. Now, you can change that. I mean, I've changed it, and many of my clients have, because it's something that we're intentionally working on. So if you want to increase brand authority, that's what you got to do. You got to work on your presentation. You got to work on your delivery. You have to work on your success path. And for every single one of you, you should have a success path. And that success path does not have to stop at quote unquote plan of care. Who the hell came up with that? That was some insurance company that came up with that, so that you would stop treating people so that they could make more money based on the premiums that people are paying them, right? What the heck can you do for people? And beyond what you can do for people, what network do you have of other people that can do more for people than I can do for people? And I believe that the journey for every single client should not end with you. I mean, that's what I believe. And I have a desire to figure out what the heck do people need beyond me. But what I want to do is I want to be able to deliver that to them. I want to be able to tell them about Brandon Seigel. I want to be able to tell them about Will Humphrey. I want to be able to tell them about, this great restaurant down the road here if they are looking for sushi, or they're looking for seafood, or they're looking for a vegetarian place. Like, I want to be the guy that tells them. And when you do that over and over and over again, you build a brand, you build a trusted brand, you become an authority, and you become a decision maker for people. That's the key.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to make sure in this episode I really tap into is so many of our listeners are struggling with their brand authority beyond medical necessity, meaning that they're only seen as the medical provider. And I really come back to, when we define ourselves by what payers we take, we limit the exposure of what we can bring to the table. And so we have to redefine our brand authority. And one of the things I've recognized is kind of this decision-making, this power, the options, the solutions, everything. I look at who is the best when it comes to brand authority. And you may disagree with this, Greg, but I think Disney is the best. My brother just actually was in Orlando, and he's like, Brandon, I had never stayed where I stayed or anything, but I just realized, like, from a customer service standpoint, there is no one that does customer experience better than Disney. They can sell me anything. And then from that experience, he went and did this whole debacle with American Airlines, and he said quite the opposite. So when I look at brand authority from Disney to American Airlines, there is nothing I will trust again with American Airlines, as an example.
Right.
And so as I bring this to you and our audience, I ask you, one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to pivot. We're trying to restructure the way that we create revenue outside of just time. When people, I used to be, as you know, in the digital marketing space, and I said, I'm out of this space. And you said, why? I said, because all I'm doing is trading time for dollars. What are you doing with people? How are you guiding people to really change and transition from trading time to building leveraged income streams? What are you doing? What are your recommendation? Give us strategy just for our audience on how they can really get away from or diversify into new income streams.
Yeah, I think the first thing is there are so many different ways to do it. I'll give you a few different examples of things that you can do in the clinic and then things that you can do outside the clinic. I think within the clinic, the first thing that at least I did, I started this in 2012, and that was to just ask people questions at initial intake and use their answers to the questions as a very easy segue into presenting other things besides me trading my individual time. So what are those things? Those things could be equipment that they use during their therapy sessions that they would use in the clinic, but these are things that they can also use outside their clinic. They can use at their workplace, they can use at their home, they can use with their children, et cetera, et cetera. So I started with physical products. Those were the first products, that I did. Every physical product that I sold within the clinic, I always gave people the option that you can go and you can find those physical products on your own. The ones that we sell here are the same ones that we're using in the clinic, and I sell it for 100% markup. I would let people know that. 95% of the time, they would still buy it from me. Why? Because they trusted me. And they trusted that the one that I had, which is one that they experienced, is the one that they want to continue to use. Okay? So that was the first thing that I did, physical products. I would also do nutritional products, same framework, same setup. I would ask people from their first consultation with me, would you be interested in learning about how nutrition can help to accelerate your ending result, your recovery, okay, your rehabilitative process? If they said yes, I would present it to them. So what would I present? I would present a nutritional plan. I worked with a registered dietitian, and this is a plan where people can buy a one-time offering. And then after part of that one-time offering was supplementation. And if they decided after a 60-day span that they wanted to continue the supplementation, they would basically pay this company a recurring revenue amount every single month, and I would get a portion of it. Okay. And so that's another way. Okay. Those are just in clinic examples. Very simple to do. You just have to present. You got to present, properly. And if you do that, and people see that it's genuine and it is truly helping them with the result that they are coming to you for, and it's helping them get that result in a faster manner or at an amplified state, they'll do it. Okay. So that is one. Another way of doing it is by not doing physical products, but by doing information products. Okay. A huge part of what we do in our treatments, our treatment experience of people is by telling them things, empowering them, showing them, educating them. So you can take those things that you are doing that people are finding value, and you could productize it and turn it into an information product. That could be a mini course, that could be a regular course, that could be a series of workshops, that could be a series of audios that you are giving people. And these are things that they are learning and retaining so that they can actually empower themselves on how to manage whatever, things they're going through. Okay. That's one. I'll give you another one. Another one is memberships, right? Memberships is where people are getting value from you month over month, year over year. And they're getting value from you in what ways? Either guidance, accountability, giving them access to a community of people, or giving them tools for them to help them beyond the traditional, therapy journey experience. And so these are all ways that you should be able to supplement and amplify the amount of money that you're bringing in. And if you do this, then you can look at insurance totally different. Now I look at insurance as a marketing tool. I look at insurance as a loss leader. I'm totally fine taking insurance. I have no problem taking insurance. But insurance is not going to make me the money I want. Okay, insurance is one of my best marketing tools that I have. I use Aetna, I use Cigna, I use TRICARE, I use Medicaid, I use Medicare to bring in people knowing that I'm going to be at a under break even or break even point. But I understand that I have so much more value that I can bring to people, not just through myself, but through my connections that I have to help people get results beyond what the insurance company is giving them. And so that's where you make your money, and that's where you make your massive impact. And so those are some examples. I could go on for 4 years with it, but those are some examples that every single person should be doing at a bare minimum.
Totally agree. And I'm going to leave everyone with this last kind of picture, thought, memory of mine. So I remember the day that I heard Amazon was going to be going live and competing with Barnes & Noble. I never thought in my life, two companies I never thought would create and innovate the way they have, Amazon and Netflix. Amazon, to me, I'm like, I want to see a book, touch a book, everything. They have recreated the way that an ecosystem brings stuff to the world. They are one of the most successful ventures in our world. And I bring them up, and I bring up the idea of Netflix, which, again, I was like, digital streaming, I want to go to Blockbuster. I want to go pick my movie out, all this stuff. Now they're content creators, they're advertising, they're everything. You need to get beyond the brick and mortar of the medical clinic, of thinking yourself as a Blockbuster, because Blockbuster is no longer. You need to become the Amazon. How are you creating an ecosystem through your brand authority of resources, services, products that your clientele need to purchase? Truly.
100%. 100%. I think one of the biggest things I would tell you all is understand who you are and understand what is going to be your play, what's going to be your vertical. Okay. Brandon gave So many good examples, but I want to kind of like of the companies that Brandon admires. I want you all to understand there's something unique about each company. Okay, so in this episode, he talked about Disney. Is Disney the cheapest? Nope. Is Disney the most convenient? No, that's not what Disney does. Disney creates the most unique experiences. And what they've done is they've doubled down on that. Okay, there's no, like, I rarely ever get emails about discounts from Disney. Okay, I'm a Florida resident. Okay, maybe they'll say, okay, you can get 3 parks for 2 days for $300 or something like that. Maybe. Okay, but at the end of the day, if I want the discount, I'm going to go over to Busch Gardens. They'll give you the whole park for a year for $75. Okay, like, but that's not Disney's play. Disney's play, and why Brendan used this episode to talk about Disney, was not because Disney's giving us the cheapest. That's not their play. Okay. So just understand that you got to just find your thing. Like, what's going to be your thing? Is it going to be that I'm going to create the most amazing experience? Okay. Then make that your thing and double down on it. Okay. All right. He talked about Amazon and Netflix. Okay. So what's Amazon and Netflix about? Amazon and Netflix, I mean, they're not really the cheapest. And honestly, their customer service it's okay. It's nothing great. You want to know what they are? It's convenience, speed. That's what they are. And something happened to us as people to where, I don't know, I used to love to go to Blockbuster on a Friday night and pick out the movies, or wait right there where the box was when people were bringing the movies back to see if I can get Terminator 3. I mean, I used to love that too. But at some point we said, screw this. You know what? I'd rather the movies be delivered to my mailbox. That's initially how Netflix started. And then Netflix, but they doubled down on that. They said, let's make it easier for them. Okay, we can't compete with Blockbuster with the experience. We can't do that. But we're going to go in a different direction. And by the way, Netflix gave Blockbuster the opportunity for them to take their technology and team up with Blockbuster. And Blockbuster, was quite arrogant, said, no, we're good. Netflix gave Blockbuster their company for pennies. Blockbuster said no. But what Netflix did is Netflix didn't compete with Blockbuster by opening up stores. Netflix said, let's give them convenience. Amazon said, let's give them convenience. And if you do that over time, what these companies have both showed us, you do that over time, you will change human behavior. And now we can't go back, right? So just understand that, is it going to be innovation for you? That's what some companies are about. That's what Tesla is about, innovation. Okay, is it going to be convenience for you? That's what Netflix is about. That's what Amazon is about. Is it going to be experience for you? Okay, is it going to be that, or is it going to be, hey, you know what? I'm going to be front facing. I'm going to give you a certain level of intentionality, and that's going to be your game for you. Well, if that's going to be your game, and if many of you are like, I don't want to do any of that tech stuff, then the only way you are going to make that work for you is by charging a crap ton more than what you're charging now. But if you're going to try to make that your game and have a third party do all your payment and your reimbursement, you have no shot in hell at winning. So just keep that in mind.
Totally. Well, I want to thank you, Greg, for being part of this episode. I love everything we unpacked, from really building brand authority, but also identifying what our identity needs to be when building that brand authority. And so how can everyone get in touch with you? We'll also use it in the show notes, but share how we can follow you and get in touch and everything beyond.
Yeah, today I know that the big business card is social media. Go to Greg Todd PT. You can go to Instagram is probably where I hang out the most. Go to Facebook. My site is smartsuccesshealthcare.com, but Greg Todd PT is where you're going to find what's new, what's going on in my world, and how I'm trying to bring value to people.
Love it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, write a review, and share us with your friends and family, because together we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube, or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you loved this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.